Action is how a woman takes her life back, but not more action, conscious action. The kind that makes a woman stop and ask, who gave me this assignment? Who taught me this was mine to carry? And when did I start calling it who I am? Because a lot of women are not just living lives, they are completing assignments they never consciously accepted. The strong one, the responsible one, the good woman, the one who can handle it. At some point, a woman must ask herself, who wrote this for me? Do I still agree with it? And am I willing to let it write the rest of my life? I'm Raquel. This is The Actioned Woman. Assignment. There's something about that word that feels different from expectation. Expectation feels like pressure. Assignment feels much deeper. It feels like something handed to you before you even knew you were allowed to question it. And I want to be careful here because I do not want this to be heard as if every woman's life is wrong. That is not what this is. This is not about looking at the life you have built and deciding it all needs to be uprooted. This is not about burning everything to the ground. This is not about rejecting your family, your children, your work, your marriage, your responsibilities, or the life that has shaped you. That is far too simple. The real conversation is more honest than that. Sometimes the life you were given contains things you love deeply. Sometimes it contains people you would choose again. Sometimes it contains responsibilities that matter. Sometimes it contains sacrifices that shaped you in ways you must honor. But even inside a life that holds love, there can be assignments a woman never consciously accepted. That is the distinction. We are not here to reject the life. We are here to examine the assignment because assignments are rarely announced. Most women are not sat down and told, this is the role you will play. They learn it through atmosphere, through the tone of a room, through what gets praised, through what creates tension, through watching the women before them and what they were allowed to carry, say, want, or refuse. A girl begins noticing those things long before she has language for them. She notices which women are admired for holding everything together. She notices which women are judged for needing too much. She notices what happens when a woman says no. Slowly, without one clear moment, she begins adjusting. She becomes more acceptable, more careful with her needs, more fluent in what keeps connection. Then one day, she becomes the woman everyone knows her to be. The strange part is she may not even realize she became her through assignment. She may think this is simply who she is. That is where the assignment becomes powerful. When an assignment is repeated long enough, it stops feeling like instruction. It starts feeling like identity. A woman may not say, I was taught to carry too much. She says, I'm just the strong one. She may not say, I learned to keep peace so I would not lose connection. She says, I just don't like conflict. She may not say, I was rewarded for needing less. She says, I am just low maintenance. Some of it may be true. Some of it may be part of her nature. Some of it may be strength. Some of it may have protected her. This is what makes it so layered. The assignment is not always something to hate. Sometimes it helped a woman survive. Sometimes it gave her belonging. Sometimes it gave her a place before she knew how to create one for herself. So this episode is not asking a woman to despise the assignment. It is asking her to stop obeying it unconsciously. A woman can honor what shaped her and still ask whether it should continue directing her. She can respect the strength that carried her and still admit it has cost her something. She can love the life she has and still recognize that some of the terms were never consciously reviewed. This is the place where the life she was given begins to meet the life she would choose. It's not in rejection. It's in honesty. In the moment she looks at the role and says, I know how I became this. Now I need to know whether I still choose it. There is something very complicated about that moment because many women have not failed at the assignment. They have succeeded at it. They have become excellent at the very role that may now be costing them their own voice. One of the hardest things about an assignment is that you can become very good at it. So good that people praise you for it. So good that you start to feel valuable through it. So good that the people around you may not know who you are without it. I know what that can feel like. There is a real identity that forms around being the one who can handle things. There is pride in being capable. There is pride in being trusted. There is pride in being someone people can count on. I understand that seduction very well. I understand what it feels like to be the one who says, okay, I'll figure it out. I understand what it feels like to carry something heavy and still keep moving. I do not ever want to shame women for being strong. Women carry extraordinary things. Women survive things that often go unseen. But strength becomes complicated when it becomes the only place a woman is allowed to exist. When people only recognize you as strong, they may not notice when you are tired. When people only know you as the one who handles it, they may not know what to do when you need to be held. When people only value you for your usefulness, they may confuse your availability with your identity. That is where the assignment begins to take over. A woman stops checking in with herself. She stops asking, do I actually want to carry this? She only asks, can I carry it? And of course she can. She has already proven that. She stops asking, is this honest for me? She only asks, will this keep things okay? And often it will, at least on the outside. She stops asking, is this mine to hold? She only asks, can I make this work? And many women can make almost anything work. That is the danger right there. A woman's ability to carry something can make it look like it belongs to her. Her ability to survive something can make it look like she chose it. Her ability to keep peace can make it look like peace is present. But sometimes She is not choosing. She is completing the assignment of being strong, completing the assignment of being useful, completing the assignment of being the one who can handle it. Over time, the assignment becomes so familiar that she stops recognizing it as something separate from herself. She does not feel the exact moment where choice disappears. She only feels the pressure to continue. That is where resentment often begins. Resentment is not always a flaw in a woman. Most times, resentment is information. It is the part of her saying, I have been completing this assignment too long without being asked whether I still agree to it. That does not mean resentment should lead her life. What it means is resentment may be pointing to the place where honesty has been missing, a place where the agreement was never spoken, a place where she has been giving from a role instead of from choice. Guilt becomes important here as well. Many women feel guilty the moment they begin questioning the assignment. Guilty for needing more. Guilty for changing the terms. Guilty for no longer wanting to be who everyone has relied on them to be. But guilt, it is not always truth. Sometimes guilt is the sound of an old assignment being challenged. Sometimes guilt is the body reacting to a new level of honesty. Sometimes guilt rises when a woman stops performing the version of herself that kept everyone comfortable. There is guilt that calls you back to your values. There is guilt that asks you to repair. There is guilt that asks you to be accountable. But there is also guilt that only exists because you were trained to be easier than you were ever meant to be. A woman has to learn the difference, because if every feeling of guilt sends her back to the old role, she may spend her whole life obeying instructions that were never truly hers. The assigned life survives through those instructions. Be easy. Do not disappoint. Stay useful. Stay who they know. And the longer a woman lives inside those instructions, the more they begin to feel like the terms of belonging. She does not just have a role anymore. She has a contract. Every assignment carries a hidden contract. Nobody shows it to you. Nobody asks you to sign. But the terms, they are felt. You can belong as long as you do not change too much. You can be loved as long as you do not need too much. You can be strong as long as you do not ask to be held too often. You can be honest as long as the truth does not disrupt the version of you people prefer. That is the contract. A woman signs it in small ways, with the automatic yes, with the quick apology, with the softened truth, with the silence that keeps the room comfortable. There's no shame in seeing this, my women. There are reasons women learn these things. Sometimes silence was safety. Sometimes overfunctioning was survival. Sometimes needing less was how a woman kept connection. I have sat with enough women, worked with enough women, and lived enough of this myself to know that these patterns rarely come from nowhere. Women are not waking up one day and deciding to abandon themselves for no reason. They are usually responding to something. A home where love felt conditional. A relationship where honesty created distance. a culture that praises women for carrying more than they should, a season where survival required her to become whatever the moment demanded. So the woman who learned those strategies does not need to be attacked. She needs to be understood. She was trying to stay safe inside the life she had. But what helped her survive one season can confine her in another. At some point, the contract must be reviewed, not destroyed, not rejected, reviewed. Some women hear this and feel fear immediately. They wonder if questioning the assignment means changing the whole life. It does not. Sometimes it means becoming honest inside one part of it, one relationship, one role, one expectation, one place where the terms no longer tell the truth, one place where the woman has been absent from the assignment. That is why conscious action matters. The action woman is not about more movement inside the same assignment. Many women are already moving. The deeper question is whether the movement belongs to her. A woman can work hard from authorship, or she can work hard from proving. She can serve from love, or she can serve from fear of being rejected. She can mother from presence, or she can mother from the pressure to disappear. The action may look similar from the outside. The inner direction is completely different. So before a woman asks, "What should I do next?" she may need to ask, "What is leading this? Is this mine? Or am I still completing the assignment?" When that question lands honestly, it can bring something up quite tender, because seeing the assignment clearly can also mean grieving how long it has been there. Grief can come when a woman sees the assignment clearly, because when she sees it, she may also see how long she has carried it, how often she softened herself, how often she chose the acceptable thing over the honest thing, how often she stayed quiet because the room knew what to do with her silence, how often she told herself later when life calms down, later when the children are older, later when there is more money, later when she feels ready. Later can sound quite responsible. For many women, later becomes the place they bury the unlived self. That deserves tenderness. Women are not postponing themselves because they are foolish. They are often doing it because life is real. The bills are real. The children are real. Relationships are real. Pressure is real. Some women are making decisions inside constraints that other people may never see. Choice cannot be spoken about in a way that ignores reality. That matters to me because I never want this work to sound like a woman's real life is irrelevant. It is not. The responsibilities are real. The love is real. The pressure is real. The seasons where survival is the priority are real. But even inside real constraints, there is often one place where a woman has stopped looking for her own authority. One place where she has accepted the assignment as final. One place where she has confused "this is hard" with "I have no voice here." Those are not the same. That is where grief and power can meet. Grief says, "I see what this has cost me." Power says, I am still allowed to choose what happens from here. A woman does not have to hate the version of herself who completed the assignment. She may need to honor her. The version of her kept going. The version of her found a way. The version of her made decisions with tools she had at the time. There is no freedom in shaming her. But there's also no freedom in letting her survival become the final authority over her future. At some point, a woman has to say, I understand why I became this way. I understand why I learned this role. I understand why I stayed loyal to it. And I am still allowed to choose differently now. That sentence gives a woman room to move. It means she does not have to make her past wrong in order to become more conscious in the present. She can honor what shaped her without staying governed by it. She can say, this helped me then. It cannot lead me now. That is authorship, a quiet return to authority. The moment a woman stops confusing survival with identity. And there may be no place where this feels more complicated than motherhood, because motherhood can hold love and assignment at the same time. Motherhood is one of the places where assignment becomes especially layered. Motherhood is sacred to many women. It is sacred to me. There is a love that changes you. There is a responsibility that humbles you. There is a devotion that cannot be explained until you are inside it. But there is also an assignment that often attaches itself to motherhood. The assignment of being a good mother. And I want to say this carefully because I know how sensitive this is. There is the love a woman has for her children. Then there is the cultural assignment that tells her love must mean disappearance. Those are not the same. A good mother needs less. A good mother waits. A good mother gives until there is nothing left. A good mother becomes smaller so everyone else can feel secure. That is not love. That is an assignment attached to love. Many mothers can feel the difference, even if they have been afraid to say it. I have felt that tension, the pull between wanting to give your children everything and knowing that everything cannot mean the disappearance of you. The pull between loving them so deeply and still needing them to see you as a whole woman. The pull between being present for them and not abandoning the parts of you that make you feel alive. That is not an easy tension to hold. Mothers are watched. Mothers are measured. Mothers are judged from every direction. So many women are not only raising children, they are also negotiating an invisible courtroom inside of themselves. But our children do not only inherit what we say, they inherit what we continue to make normal. They inherit how we treat our own voice. They inherit whether we tell the truth or we decide to swallow it. They inherit whether we allow ourselves to become. That does not mean we have to be perfect. Perfection is another assignment. It means we have to ask what assignment we are passing down. Maybe the life a mother would choose is not a life away from her children. Maybe it is a life where her children get to see her fully alive. That is different. Maybe she wants them to inherit more than her sacrifice. Maybe she wants them to inherit her courage, her honesty, herself. respect her ability to love deeply without disappearing. That is a different kind of inheritance. Sometimes women feel guilty for choosing differently than the women before them. Their mothers, their grandmothers, the women who survived by becoming necessary, the woman who carried without language. Maybe part of honoring them is not repeating every assignment they had to live under. Maybe part of honoring them is asking, what did they carry so I could choose with more consciousness? What am I still calling normal, even though I may have another option now? Becoming more conscious is not betrayal. Becoming more free than someone who came before you is not betrayal. It may be the continuation of something they never got to finish. It may be the next honest step in the story. And this is where the assignment has to come out of theory and meet the actual moments of a woman's life. Because an assignment is not only something we think about, it is something we repeat. This has to meet the life you are actually in, the real one, the one with people you love, the one with pressure, the one with history, the one with complicated feelings. So bring it down to one question. What assignment am I still completing? Not your whole life. Start smaller. We must start smaller and find one assignment. Maybe it is the assignment to be the strong one. Maybe it is the assignment to keep peace at any cost. Maybe it is the assignment to be endlessly available for everyone. Maybe it is the assignment to mother in a way that leaves no room for the woman. Find the assignment, name it honestly, then watch for where it repeats, because the assignment will show itself in motion. It will show up in the pause before you say what you really mean. It will show up in the yes that leaves your mouth before your body has agreed. It will show up in the guilt that rises the moment you consider a different choice. It will show up in the way you rush to make everyone comfortable before you let yourself be honest. That is where conscious action begins, not by adding another demand to her life, by interrupting the assignment in the exact place it keeps repeating. Maybe the assignment expects her to say yes before she has even checked in with herself. This time, she pauses. Maybe the assignment expects her to make everyone comfortable before she tells the truth. This time, she lets the truth have a place in the room. Maybe the assignment expects her to carry something simply because she always has. This time, she asks whether it still belongs to her. This is how a woman begins to choose, not by proving she can do more. She has already proven that. She begins by no longer completing the old role automatically. She catches the assignment in motion. She sees the moment it reaches for her voice, her body, her time, her energy. Then she decides from the woman she is becoming now. This is enough to begin. A woman should not have to collapse to earn the right to choose. She should not have to prove she is suffering enough before she is allowed to participate in her own life. You are allowed to review the assignment before it breaks you. You are allowed to change the terms before resentment becomes permanent. You are allowed to tell the truth before the truth becomes an explosion. That is authorship. That is conscious action. Because the question was never whether a woman is strong enough to complete the assignment. She already is. The deeper question is whether she is ready to stop letting it write her life without her. Here is the invitation. Stop waiting for the assignment to become unbearable before you question it. The life you would choose may not be asking you to abandon everything. It may be asking you to pick up the assignment and finally read it with your own voice. Maybe you cross out what was never yours. Maybe you rewrite what no longer tells the truth. Maybe you return what was handed to you but was never meant to be carried forever. Maybe you keep parts of it but carry them differently now, with authority, with honesty, with your own voice inside it. The life you were given may have shaped you. It may have taught you. It may have protected you in certain seasons. It may have made you strong, but it does not get to have the final word over who you become. You can honor what shaped you without being governed by it forever. You can love the people inside your life without disappearing inside the roles you play for them. You can be grateful and still choose again. You can belong to people and still belong to yourself. That is not selfish. That is authorship. That is the work of a woman who has decided her life will not only be an assignment she completes, it will be a life she consciously participates in. So this week, do not ask yourself to solve the whole future. Ask yourself one honest question. What assignment am I still completing that I am ready to examine? Then ask, what would I choose from here? Start there. Because the years, they are moving. The patterns are continuing to deepen. The life is taking shape. The woman you are becoming is being formed by what you continue to repeat. So wake up. Look at the life. Look at the assignment. Look at the places where your voice went quiet. Choose one place to bring it back. This is the actioned woman. From here, you do not have to reject the life you were given, but you do have to decide whether you will keep completing the assignment without your own authority inside it.